What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one we have Mocro Maffia, Rise of the Gangster, making 200,000 euros a week. God, I just need to be making that, and I'd be happy to make that in freaking 3 years, much less a week. Maybe I need to join the Mafia. I'm just kidding. Before we dive into this video, if you guys happen to enjoy it, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and if you'd like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's dive right in.
With access to the encrypted messages, it is now clear that the story of the Mocro Maffia is becoming more and more complex. What was known until now is only the tip of the iceberg, and the general public is discovering a little more every day. The list of protagonists is constantly growing, and the cards are constantly being reshuffled, with a vision to taking control of the Dutch and European underworld. The beginning of our story starts in the district of De Pijp in South Amsterdam, considered at that time as a real training center of top repeat offenders in the Netherlands. One of these future offenders is Gwynette Martha, who, at the age of 8, emigrated from his native island of Curaçao with his mother. The choice to escape from the alcoholic father who exercises his tyranny in the home is not surprising.
Absolutely hate abusive parents, abusive partners, abusive people. I can't stand that.
Once the mother with her children land on Dutch soil, they find themselves in a working-class neighborhood, full of other young people with the same difficulties that bring them together. Gwynette spends a lot of time with his big brother Giovanni, despite a certain age difference. However, in the neighborhood, they are sometimes mistaken for twins, and Gwynette's excellent soccer skills make him stand out. Anyway, once the trainings are over, the boys meet again in the neighborhood, and little by little, the two brothers start to commit crimes. Quick robberies and street robberies, enough to buy new clothes, such as fashionable tracksuits. Other young people join the team that together soon represents their area, the so-called Boys of the South. Time passes and the circle grows. Then comes the complete change in the life of Gwynette, who had just turned 18. Indeed, the southern guy...
So 8 years old, moved over to the Netherlands due to an abusive father. With his brother, he was great at soccer or football. Sorry, and then him and his brother, little by little, would start to commit crimes, robberies, so they could buy new clothes, buy new things, and would just up their crime rates, I assume. And so that's where we're at in the story so far. Okay, so we get to hear the full story of how Mr. Gwynette became this gangster.
Guys are having a good time at an iconic nightclub, Escape, in Amsterdam, until a feud breaks out with some Western guys, one of whom is 20 years old, who goes by the name of Momich. That degenerated so much that the two groups end up being thrown out of the club, and it is there that Momich, under the influence of his buddies,
"So shoot.
He pulls the trigger, touching, among others, Giovanni, who succumbs to his wounds in the arms of his inseparable little brother, Gwynette. This is the moment that completely changes Gwen's life, and he inevitably chooses the path of a gangster.
Those were the origin story. That was the origin story that turned Gwynette into this gangster that he was. You know, pulling off little robberies, little crimes, keeping. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. That experiencing the loss of a brother, a sibling, someone that you love so dearly. I can't even begin to imagine how that changes a person. Wow.
Momich, who was arrested shortly afterwards, was sentenced to 8 years in prison.
That's it?
And when he
8
finds
years?
himself in the prison center,
8 years for murder? It's crazy.
he is faced with the reality of the rumors about the Southern guys.
On the walls of all the cells is written "Mummy Dead." The names of other Western gang members are also listed.
Gwynette sinks deeper and deeper into crime, always with potential revenge in mind. It's clear at the time robberies were left to small-time players, while Gwynette's team is now involved in the ecstasy business.
Oh, damn.
The fact that police are tracking down the big names in the crime scene makes it easier for Gwynette to rise to prominence. One of the important figures of what can now be called the Martha Group is indeed Najib Bubu, aka Bo, both right-hand man of Gwen, but also his best friend, whom he considers to be his own brother. So there is no time to hang out in the streets. Business is more discreet. At the same time, the man who liquidated Gwen's brother has just been released from prison. He works as a bartender in a bar since a while, and when he takes leave, usually rests in a coffee shop in Amsterdam. He doesn't realize that his days are already numbered. A helmeted man with dark clothes arrives on a scooter and executes him without mercy. His life ends on the spot. Then, the investigators direct all their attention in first place on Gwynette, who would have wanted to avenge his brother.
Of course they did.
Rumors are circulating that
that's the obvious first suspect, and I don't blame them for him being the first suspect.
One of the guys from the south was sent on the mission. However, there is not enough evidence to indict anyone, as this liquidation remains unsolved still now. Another key character in this story is Hussein, nicknamed Hose. Unlike the other youngsters, he had a rather good family situation, his father doing a good job in the gym in De Pape. Hose and Gwen were futsal enthusiasts, so they played on the same team as teammates and got along very well. It is clear that the group based in De Pape is gaining prestige in the underworld, but especially on the street. It is surely that which draws more and more the eyes of the police on Gwen, who seems to play with fire. He uses his picky nature to his advantage. This allows him to remain free for a long time, as he is acquitted on most charges. But he shows off his goods a little too much.
Oh, dang.
On paper, we find nothing of the possessions of the man who drives expensive cars, wearing expensive watches on his wrist. And so all this reinforces the assumption of the police that this is a professional criminal. The verdict of 7 years of imprisonment falls in 2008 for various criminal acts. Once he arrives at the Zyda bar,
I done got him on a list of stuff. I wish we could know the various criminal acts that they pulled him up on, but we've known that he's starting to rise. Drug dealer. He's got 2 main guys. The gang starting to get stronger, and the police. He's starting to get on the police's radar now. And they're like, "Hey, we need to get him on these charges."
Boss detention center. It doesn't take him long to create an escape plan. After barely a month, Gwen climbs a wall with a rope ladder and escapes in a van with the help of 2 of his soldiers. The authorities do their utmost to find the man on the run. The hunt becomes highly publicized nationally, but in vain because Gwen remains untraceable. While no one knows where Gwen is, his right-hand man Bo seems to spend a lot of time in Antwerp, where he builds up his links with the local underworld networks. One of these groups is nicknamed the Turtles, whose main roles belong to Hakim, Nasruddin, and Saeed. This strategic choice makes sense, as Gwynette, who realizes that it is becoming more and more difficult to import drugs in Rotterdam, seizes the opportunity by moving the logistics center to the port of Antwerp in Belgium, where security is less important. For the shipping line to work, it is necessary to collaborate with the local families who specialize in cargo recovery and have corrupt contacts in the port. In this situation, the Turtles have an ideal position. They made money traditionally on a smaller scale, by importing hashish and then investing in real estate in Morocco. But times change, and so do habits. Huge profits can be made from coke. The Turtles do not hesitate to adapt to the new trend. It is therefore not surprising to see that Gwynette hid in Antwerp after he escaped. It is here that he spends a lot of time with Hakim and his lieutenant, Bo. They usually party in the most famous nightclubs of the metropolis, where champagne flows freely.
So my boy out partying in Antwerp. He out doing his thing. He out a free man. The police can't find him, and he in Antwerp this whole time. And he ain't hiding. Well, he is hiding because he did leave the Netherlands, but he's still out and about.
But it is also here that he met one of his girlfriends.
I was 16 years old when I met Martha in the Antwerp nightclub The Knox. He introduced himself as Dennis. This is how the whole of Antwerp addressed him. I didn't know his name was actually Gwynette, and that he was internationally wanted after escaping from prison.
In the interview published in the Panorama newspaper, she describes him as a very generous man who takes care of his own. He had a loft in Antwerp in which she could move in at any time. Gwynette's lifestyle seems to remain intact because, as one of the detectives described it, the top criminal would have earned 200,000 euros a week, and it had to be spent somewhere. Finally,
His girl living large and in charge. That kind of bread got 200,000 a week.
as the hunt for the fugitive is in full swing, a collaboration between the Dutch and Belgian authorities results in a roadside check in a slum area of Antwerp in Deurne. In one of the cars stopped, the police recognize Gwynette in the presence of Zonnepit, which is also Saeed's nickname.
Got him. 2009.
Once landed in the prison, his girlfriend pays him regular visits, during which Gwynette explains his life as a bandit. In spite of everything, she continues to stay in contact with him, and this until the end.
200,000 a week, yeah, she's staying in contact with him. Because he got this. He got the bread.
Tensions will rise from this point on, as Gwynette, from prison, names his friend Bo as the main sponsor rather than Hose. And as the latter sees himself as the equal of the great Gwynette, their relationship cools sharply. As a result, there will be some internal splitting, and the soldiers will have to choose their group, the Martha camp and the Hose camp. And while some thought Hose was going to be out of the game, he created his own shipping line with the help of his brother-in-law Benauf A, who seemed to have the situation under control. At this stage, the violence is not really visible yet, but that changes in 2012, when the different Amsterdam networks, including Hose, invest in a delivery of coke to Antwerp, which will never arrive in the hands of its customers. At the beginning, the evoked volume of the cargo from Latin America oscillated between 200 and 300 kilograms of coke, but according to the official version, it was rather 225 kilograms. Once the delivery arrives in the port, corrupt dock workers close their eyes to avoid potential control and leave the field open to the Antwerp Turtles group for the pickup.
A lot of these guys have brothers or uncles who work on the docks. They look away when they show up on the platform with a sports bag.
I mean, I'm looking away too. If I'm working on the docks, I'm looking away too, because these is criminals. These is hard criminals. if I don't look away, I may get got. I may not be able to look at all ever again.
This does not go as planned, because according to the team specialized in recovery, who know the port like the back of their hand, the container turns out to be already empty. The whole story rests on this element, which remains very difficult to confirm. We know that during this month of February 2012, there were many seizures by customs. And according to the first hypothesis, the turtles would have hijacked the new delivery using the pretext of the other seizures to bluff the customers in Amsterdam. It also seems that part of the order could have reached the market with very low prices, which cannot go unnoticed by Dutch customers. Doubts about the veracity of the story also arise when the turtles are strutting around in expensive cars in their neighborhood, which never see them pass by. This may correspond to a rather quick injection of money.
Yeah.
On the other hand, according to the second hypothesis, the lot was simply confiscated by customs, while the Belgian police were slow to announce this seizure publicly. However, the customers in Amsterdam, who didn't believe a single word of the story, sent a commando to find those responsible and recover the goods.
Oh, dang. I think the turtles took it. Hey, everybody riding around in new cars after this shipment go missing. Come on. We putting two and two together.
Forced interrogation with the docker, who is in cahoots with the extraction team, eyes logically turn to the turtles, of which Hakim plays the main role here.
Oh.
After the situation heats up in Antwerp, Hakim does not take long to flee abroad. Nevertheless, his stay there will not be very long, since gangsters in police uniforms kidnap, among others, his young brother and take him to an old factory. A day later, the family receive a photo of the young man posing next to a meat grinder with a message.
If he doesn't pay, his members will go through the meat grinder.
Oh my God.
Hakim would have contacted the police, giving the name of the kidnapper of his brother.
A Dutchman who calls himself Ben.
Certainly referring to Ben Auf.
Dang.
The turtles still declared that they had not stolen anything, and it was at this moment that the Antwerp Public Prosecutor's Office chose to issue a press release, stating that 2 weeks earlier, a large shipment of cocaine weighing 225 kilograms had been confiscated.
Dang, I'm sorry, turtles. I'm sorry for suspecting y'all. That's my bad. That's on me, turtles. And they took Ben for no reason. Or they took the
Public Prosecutor's Office of Antwerp announced the news only today. The narcotics were in 5 sports bags in a container, respectively.
Regardless of this message, the turtles still had to raise the money needed. Hakim, who did not only rely on the police, went himself to the Netherlands to negotiate. A speculative amount of millions was paid, and as one source states,
Houses have been sold in Morocco. The cars with some turtles drove through Borgerhout in early 2012 were also sold. Everything has been paid off.
Dang.
the young turtle was finally released. As for Ben Auf, he was never convicted of the kidnapping. It should be remembered that other cases of violence and kidnappings took place during this period among the Antwerp underworld in connection with the missing cargo. But all that needs to be remembered is that the tensions with turtles have gradually ceased. It is not even perfectly clear today whether all the drugs had been confiscated by the customs or only a part of them.
Oh.
According to a source close to the hose camp, interviewed by Panorama,
it was not the 200 kilos of coke often mentioned in Antwerp, but 300 kilos. It got completely worse. Too many people died. It was stolen and it was taken out in such a way that everyone was angry about it.
God damn.
It was like everyone was chasing each other.
it would be mostly two warring parties, the group around Ho's versus Martha's. The guys from Amsterdam blamed Gwynette for being involved in the coup because the Turtles were just pawns working for the big guys.
The Turtles are actually a group of street thugs who become real players in the drug scene more by luck than by wisdom.
Their luck was to have been close to Gwynette and Beau. Therefore, some even thought that the Turtles were becoming more and more their Antwerp branch. And so, when problems arise on the Turtles' side, the Amsterdam investors see Martha's group as their allies. So, Ho's first turned to Beau and Gwynette to get their product back. However, they claimed to know nothing, especially Gwynette, who was still doing his time in prison.
He said, I'm behind bars. I ain't got no power. I ain't out on them streets. How I'm supposed to figure stuff out? I'm locked up, even though we know you can still have connections.
That's why they proceeded in their own way, leaving Benauf to take care of the Turtles, for whom the problem seemed to be solved, which was not the case for Gwynette's group. With trust broken, tensions rise and heads must roll. Released from prison again in the summer of 2012, pending the re-evaluation of his case, Gwynette must report to the police once a week in The Hague. Being able to live at only one address, he spends the rest of the time in Antwerp alongside his girlfriend. Since the dispute over the lost cargo was by no means forgotten, Gwynette sent his right-hand man Beau to Antwerp in October 2012 for an appointment at the Crown Plaza Hotel for some kind of mediation. But what he doesn't know yet is that there's already a team ready for action that's just waiting for one message.
Beau out of
We're
there,
coming
man.
now.
Beau is out of there, bro. God dang. I feel like I'm so invested into the story now. Like, I got to hear more. I got to know exactly what happened. Hopefully everybody went to jail. You feel me? Because, hey, at the end of the day, y'all are all criminals. But y'all talk to me in the comment section. Are y'all as hooked into the story as I am? Do you already know the outcome? Don't tell me if you do. But tell me how much you enjoyed part 1. That's all we got. Please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the next one. I'll see y'all next time.